Hello, welcome to Waypoint Survival. Today, we're going to do a $10 24-hour survival challenge. So here are the rules. You go to the dollar store, and for $10, you can buy 10 items, not including tax, of course. And with those 10 items, you have to go out and survive for 24 hours, providing as many of the survival essentials as you can with that small amount of money. It's a beautiful day, the beginning of March. It is a little bit windy, as you could probably hear, blowing across the camera microphone. And it's supposed to be pretty nice today, about 46 degrees Fahrenheit, and that's about 7 degrees Celsius. But tonight it's going to get down to about 26 degrees Fahrenheit, or -3 Celsius. So we're going to be challenged, because all we have, the clothes we have on, and our 10 items that we bought at the dollar store. So we've hiked a little ways into the wilderness here. We're out in an open field area, and it is in the morning. I do have my watch on me so I can keep track of the time. And we started at about 10:15 on this morning. And so we're going to be out for the next 24 hours. I don't have my phone. I have no means of communication with anyone. I have nothing in my pockets except for in my coat. I do have my gloves, but other than my clothes and my bag, I do of course have the camera and the camera gear and the camera light, which I will only be able to use if I'm filming in low light conditions. So other than that, we're going to have to make do with everything that we can find out here. So looking in our bag here, first item that's sticking out is this 12-inch handsaw. And I was super excited to find this. And not every dollar store carries the same thing, so it's really nice when you can find things like that. I have an 8-pack here of heavy-duty garbage bags. I have some jute twine. I believe it says there's 118 feet, 36 meters of twine. I have a small 4-foot by 6-foot tarp, which is 1.2 by 1.8 meters. I have a box of 300 kitchen matches, wooden kitchen matches. I have a 3-inch paring knife. I have 10 yards, or 9.14 it says meters, of duct tape. I have a small clip-on LED light. It's going to go on the brim of my hat, and did come with the batteries installed, so that's an important feature. And I have a 5-pack of ramen noodles. As I've said on previous videos, these are not the healthiest choice, but when we're talking about survival, we're looking at calories, and there's almost 1,900 calories here in this 5-pack. Plus there's fat, which is another thing that's very hard to get when you're out surviving, and a few other items. So it is high in sodium, but again, I don't live on this stuff. This is a survival trip, and so there's not a whole lot this time of year that you can forage and find. And the fish often aren't biting. It's early March. It's March the 2nd. And so, yeah, we're not going to find a whole lot. We're still technically in winter. And we can get some pretty serious snowstorms even here in southern Ohio this time of year. Last but not least, stainless steel doggy bowl, and this will be my sole source for cooking and boiling water. I also have 3 plastic bags, And I asked the lady at the checkout counter if I could have an extra bag, and she graciously gave me one. And so that's also an important item, not just to carry my stuff, but for making other things. Now you'll notice that I have no water, and that could be a problem. But I was going to bring a gallon of water until I saw this saw, and decided to opt for the saw instead of the water. The reason for that is this, that I'm in an area where there's an abundance of water, and we've had a lot of rain, and I happen to know in the area where I'm headed that there is a creek that is spring fed. The bag's blown away. And so I will have to boil all the water that I'm going to have to drink for the next 24 hours, besides water to cook my food. So here are my 10 items laid out for you to see. So let's get started. Well, the first thing that I have to do is I don't want to carry all of this in a plastic bag, because it could split, and even though it's triple bagged, I could lose some of my very important gear, because I need every piece of everything that's in here. So we're going to make a backpack. Alright, so I got some dead limbs here, and we're going to do some cutting and try out our new saw, see how well it works. Well, it's been raining for several days here, and everything is just soaking wet, so I'm going to take advantage of this plastic and this tarp, open it up, give me a dry place to sit. Alright, let's see what's in this handsaw here. Oh, it's taped. Okay. Oh, excellent. It's got a little plastic protector here on the blade to guard it, so that'll be nice for storing. So as you can see, it's not a huge saw, but I think it'll do the job. We'll find out. For those of you who watched my Roycroft frame video, you'll know what I'm doing here. There we go. By the way, using your knee like this as a lever or a clamp is a really great technique to hold something steady and to cut beside yourself so that you don't hurt yourself when you're cutting. So I'm holding it on this side, and then I'm pinching it in my knee, and I'm cutting beside myself like this. Alright, there we go. We got a little bit of a twig there. Could probably shave that off. Okay, and then back into our cardboard sheath. Now, unlike the saw, this knife did not come with the sheath, so we have to be really careful. If I can open this carefully and slide this out, I can keep using this plastic blister pack here on this cardboard as somewhat of a sheath. Why I selected this knife is it has almost Scandinavian grind on it, and actually I just took it out of the box the first time, the package there. It's fairly sharp. I don't know how well it's going to hold an edge. It's made in China, but it is stainless steel, and I'm not sure exactly how far the tang goes back through there. Hopefully decent enough that it'll make a good knife for what we're using it for. So we'll find out, won't we? Alright, so that cuts pretty good. Shave off some of these knobs here. have to actually say I'm quite pleased with this knife. It, I mean, for $1, wow, it's actually not bad. Let's get out our jute here. Now I picked this jute twine for a couple of reasons. First of all, the fact that there was 118 feet or 36 meters of it is great. But for those of you who know anything about bushcrafting, survival, starting fires, you know that jute twine makes an excellent bird's nest. And so this will help me get a fire started a little later on. Unfortunately, it is not very thick, so we're going to have to be kind of careful and not break it. Start with a simple slip knot and just put an overhand stop knot in it here. There we go. Alright, I've already made one of these on camera, so I'm going to go ahead and work on it, and I'll get back to you. Alright, we've finished our Roycroft pack frame, and so now we have to make some straps for it, and then figure out what we're going to do to put our gear onto the frame that we have made. So here's how we're going to be making our straps. Remember these extra bags? What we're going to do is we're going to cut them in half, but leave it connected in the center. So let's get our knife out here. I'll get to work on it, show you what that is here. Alright, now what we want to do is we want to take this, start to twist it up really good until we can make a nice knot in the end. And there's a lot of ways to make cordage out of these bags, but I'm not trying to make cordage right now. I'm trying to make backpack straps. So we tie a knot like that, and then we want to come over here and go ahead and just tie a really loose half hitch. We're not trying to make it stay on there permanently. And then what we want to do is we want to take this and we just want to twist it. And again, there's no fancy method to this, just tie it off to something and twist it. Of course, you can see we got our duct tape hanging here. I'll get back to you when I'm done twisting. So now that we're done twisting, we want to put a knot in this end. That's just to help keep it from unraveling. Just a simple overhand knot. Nothing fancy. Alright, now, here comes the tricky part. We're going to take our duct tape and we're going to start up in here. Try to hold this. Let's start here. And we're going to work our way down. What we're doing is we're making a core, a center, if you will, for strength in the middle of our duct tape. We could make the entire strap out of duct tape and it would probably be fine. But this is actually going to give us a little more strength to our duct tape. Now, what we want to do is we want to take this and we want to fold it in thirds so that we're encapsulating our cord in the middle, like that. And then go ahead and fold this over. Alright, smooth that all down. Now we've got to undo this end and we've got to add a length of duct tape onto this side to make it long enough. Alright, so here we are. We have our two straps made using our plastic shopping bags as an inner cord, and then wrapping them with duct tape, really strong And that's why, for those of you who are bushcrafters and those of you who like to do survival training, duct tape may be silver, but when you're in a survival situation, it's gold. Alright, and here we have our backpack frame. Let's take it to the next stage. Well, we've got our pack frame built, and of course, best way to make sure you get them the same length is to make it level, and then pull on your straps, make sure they come up to the same height, and it does fit. Got to be careful. Again, you're using makeshift material, so you don't want to pull hard on anything. But there you go. Get an idea of what it looks like. Now, what are we going to do for an actual pack? Well, because I'm going to be out and I have no sleeping bag, no proper shelter, and I'm going to have to rely on just the clothes that I wear and a little bit of a cover that I can make with that very small, very thin tarp, I of course layered up. And I always layer up when I go outside, and so one of the things that I very often wear in my layering, you can see I've got several layers on. I have a black t-shirt right here, right above my base layer. So I'm going to take that off, and we're going to use that as our backpack cover to put our stuff in it. We're going to make a bag out of it, and we'll get to that here in just a second. Alright, well, I took off a couple of layers and I've just got them laying over here on the ground, and I didn't realize until I took that t-shirt off how sweaty I've gotten already. And of course, that is a huge no-no when you're out in the wilderness and you're out in a survival situation. And so even though this is a self-imposed survival situation and we're just practicing, I don't want to be wet with sweat or water or anything else. And so I'm going to let that t-shirt dry out a little bit. We've got a lot of sunshine, and obviously it's very breezy. But the next problem that we have is our blister pack here has come off from the cardboard, and we need to make a knife sheath. So just over there I found a downed cedar tree, and so let's go over there while our t-shirt dries, and let's see if we can't get started on a better knife sheath for this knife. So right in here's the piece that we want to cut, and so we're going to go ahead and get a little saw out here, get to work on it, and see if we can't get our sheath going. Well, it's not the best saw, that's for sure, and it keeps wanting to bind up. It's a whole lot better than no saw at all. Alright, we got it. Here's our piece of wood. Split out a little bit, but I think we can work around that. So let's go see if we can make us a better knife sheath. So I've got my place set up here. Cut a baton, and I'm in the process of flattening this out, shaving off some pieces of wood, make it a little smoother where it's split, and then we're going to try to make a decent knife sheath out of this. Now I've got a knot here that I'm going to have to deal with, but we'll get to that here in a little bit. Anyway, I'm going to work on this and I'll show you the progress. Alright, now we come to the real test of the strength of this knife, and again, I wouldn't recommend doing this to this kind of knife, and I'm hoping it'll last me. I hope it'll do what I want it to do right now, but we're going to find out how tough it is. And I know a lot of people don't recommend batoning, and I do in certain circumstances and certain conditions. So we're going to find out if this will work. I've got some natural checking here. This was obviously a dead piece of wood already, and so we're going to try to split it right in here and see how it works. Alright, well, we got it started, and you can definitely tell that you want to be careful with a knife like this. It's not a very sturdy knife, that's for sure. Fortunately, cedar is a very soft wood, and for those of you who are purist, and I keep calling it cedar, this is actually a common juniper, but we call it cedar in this part of the country. Most people know what I'm talking about. It's got that red heart, a beautiful aroma to it, very aromatic. Now see if we can split this piece here. Alright, tell you what we're going to do. We're going to try to make some hardwood wedges, or at least one, and see if we can't use a hardwood wedge to split this. We've got our split started right here, and so let's see if we can finish it with hardwood and maybe save our knife so it doesn't break. So we went and got us just a short piece of downed dead walnut, and we got quite a bit of walnut around here, and so we're gonna whittle this down into an edge here so we can have our wedge, and then we'll get back to you. So we've got our wedge, and again, I have to say I'm actually pretty impressed with this knife for $1. I mean, it's a kitchen knife, it's a paring knife, but did a pretty good job on whittling that down into a wedge, and this is very hard wood. Show you the progress. See, we're starting to wedge it across, get it out there. I think part of our problem is our baton is a little too soft. So I'm going to go get a little better one. Get back with you. Alright, so we went and cut a little bit more off of the same piece. Used to attach like that. And so I know this is hardwood. And let's see how this will work. Oh yeah. Big difference. You can hear it in the sound. And also the fact that we are getting quite a nice split right along through there. It's like it's supposed to. And there you go. You can see, split it quite nicely. And of course, it's just a good lesson in bushcraft and all that kind of stuff. Is, you know, wood selection, super important. You can work yourself silly with a piece of wood that doesn't work for you. And sometimes you just got to go cut another stick, and makes a huge difference. So before I go ahead and finish splitting this piece of wood out, which I can pretty well do by hand, I've got a bit of a project in mind here for this knife. And so what I've got to do is I'm going to see exactly where this falls and make some cuts accordingly. And it's a whole lot easier to cut when it's one large piece than to try to do it as a small piece. Alright, I think we want to do it about right there. Again, using this saw, it's getting a little loose in here. There's a couple of Phillips head screws in there. Now normally if I have my multi-tool on me, it wouldn't be a big deal. I just tighten it up, but they're starting to come loose, so I'm going to have to be really careful. Alright, so we got that cut off, and now we've got to just finish pulling this off here. And of course this is the piece that we're going to hang on to, and this piece right here, we don't really need it, so they're about equal length. So if this side doesn't work, we can always switch sides, but I think for our purposes we want to use this one right here. And so I'm going to gain the middle of this out. I'm going to make a cut in here. I've already got a bit of a divot. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take our knife here and I'm going to carve a space right in the center so the knife can slide in. So what we're making is a knife sheath, of course. Alright, so what we've done is we've taken and we split this, and then we hollowed out the inside here a little bit, and then put a little shoulder here and smooth this all down, rounded it off. That fits together like this. And then we take our knife and it fits in like that. Now we got to drill some holes up here in the top for our lanyard and fasten the whole thing together. Alright, we've got one hole drilled all the way through, and basically all we do is we take our knife point and we put it in here like this, and we just start turning, and we do that until the point comes through the other side. And when we start to see the point on the other side, then we start working on the other side, and we take our knife and we smooth out the hole all the way around it so that hopefully our cord won't get frayed on the rough edges. Now, if I was in an area where I had some sandstone, I could really sand this down and make this nice, but as it is, it's going to be kind of a rough sheath. Alright, the point has just started to come through the other side. Now the reason why you don't want to just keep working it from one side is this is cedar and it's soft and you can split it out, and so we don't want to split our holes out. So go from one side to the other, then back and forth and keep working it, then gradually take and just trim around the outside real easy and get the hole big enough for your cord to fit through. Tell you what, waste a lot of time when you're out like this, adjusting the camera, push and play, back and forth here and there. Alright, so how are we going to do this? Well, I could just duct tape this, but I'd like to kind of keep it looking a little bit rustic. So what we're going to try to do is wrap this with some of our twine and see if we can't hold it together like that. So here's our knife sheath held together. Used our green twine there. Looks pretty good. And the knife fits inside. And now we have a much better sheath, but we still need to hang it around our neck. And so what I've got is I've got 3 more pieces here cut to equal lengths, and I'm going to braid them together. And braiding, of course, very simple, 3-strand braid. And one of those skills that you need to learn as a bushcrafter, these are really thin, and so if I braid them together, a 3-fold cord, as the old saying is not easily broken. So we're going to get to work on that right now. Okay, so what we're going to do is going to take this t-shirt and we're going to tie up the neck and the sleeves, and then leave this for our opening, so the shirt's actually going to be upside down. And we're just going to simply gather it up like this and wrap some cordage around it. Going to use our green for this. We're going to start off with just a simple slip knot around here and pull it tight. Okay. And just go around it a few times and tie it off to this tag end that we've left hanging out from our slip knot. We left it long on purpose. And I'm going to do that to all 3 of the holes, the neck and the 2 sleeves. Get back with you. Okay, we've got all 3 holes tied up, and now we're going to take the shirt and turn it inside out. That way all of our strings will be on the inside, and we have a little bit more of a bag rather than just the pockets hanging to the outside. Now, what we're going to do, we're going to lay this here, and let's put our gear inside. All of our stuff here we've collected. I'm just going to keep it in the bag for right now. Get to camp. Alright, now that that's done, and of course I'm going to be putting this tarp inside of it as well. But I just want to give you the general idea. That's what it's going to look like. I'll fold the rest of the stuff up, put it in there, lash it on, and get back with you so you can see what that looks like. Okay, here is our completed pack. As you can see, our straps, our Roycroft frame. We are now ready to hike in. Let's go find a campsite. So, I think the backpack is riding nicely, and it's doing a pretty good job. And I found a spot back over in here, just over the hill, where I think the wind will be a lot less. It's just so windy this time of year. A lot of weather patterns changing and big storm areas. It's also a pretty decent amount of firewood over here, and debris and things that I can use to get a fire started, as well as hopefully a good spot for building a shelter. And then also it's close to a pretty decent creek that I intend to use for water. I've been out 5 hours now and haven't had any water yet, so I'm starting to really feel the thirst. Not too bad yet, but I don't want to wait a whole lot longer. So I got to get that going. Okay, well, I think I found a pretty good spot just over here, and it's nice and sunny, and the wind is much less. I've got a hill over here to my right, and the wind's blowing this direction, but it's cresting over the hill, and so I'm getting a little bit of a breeze, but I don't think it'll be too bad for the night. So we're going to put up our shelter, and then we've got to get a fire started and get some water boiling so I can get something to drink. So while I was out looking for some sticks for my uprights for my shelter, I realized that I didn't have a hammer to drive in my tent pegs. So I went and made one. So this is a nice little mallet hammer, very easy to make, and you're better off if you can find one that's at somewhat right angles, and you don't hammer this way, but you rather hammer like this. So, and then you want the extra weight here to help drive it down. It needs to be some kind of hardwood, and of course once you cut one of these, you just hang on to it and you keep using it. So again, where a saw comes in, super handy. So we're gonna get ready and build that shelter. Just a simple shed roof, nothing fabulous, because I don't have a lot of tarp, so we have to make do with what we have. But I have a couple of ideas how we might be able to make it better. So let's see what happens. All I did for pegs is I just cut a couple little simple Y sticks and just stick them down inside the back. And I have to shave off some of these knobs here. But other than that, should be fine. There we go. And this one, same thing. Alright, there we go. We'll just poke those down like this, right into the back at an angle. It should hold it. Easy to adjust, everything. think it's still a little too tall. So what I'm going to have to do is take the saw and cut off the bottom of these sticks a little bit. Well, there it is. And again, it's just a simple lean-to shelter. But remember those garbage bags that I have? They're not just going to be a ground mat for me tonight, but I'm going to use them to close in those sides, because I not only have garbage bags, I have some duct tape. Well, there's home for the night. Not a very big place. Tarp itself's only 6 foot long. Fortunately, I'm not quite that tall. I'm about 5'11" and a half, so might have a ½ inch of room. Anyway, let's work on some bedding, and then we need to work on a fire. It is 4:35, so we've been at this quite a while today, but it's going well, and we're making progress. Not bad for $10. I think we're going to try to get some of this sedge grass down here behind us and fill up one of our garbage bags, maybe 2 of them, see how much we can get in there for our bedding tonight. We got to have something to lay on, and unfortunately, because it's been raining so much, all of the leaves and everything around in the forest is very wet, so I don't really want to lay on cold, wet leaves. So we're going to try to get some of this grass that's been growing in the breeze blowing around today, and see if we can't get together some sort of bedding. I got 2 bags, and caught on a briar. Good thing I got extra bags, because these are really flimsy. Alright, we got our bowl, and we're getting ready to go over here to a creek where it's spring fed, and I know that it's pretty good water. It's not real clear, but we're going to boil it and make it safe to drink. So we got to get some water. We've been spending our time getting a lot of firewood, and so now we're ready for starting the fire, boiling some water, and making some supper. Alright, so got our fire ring, got firewood, I'll show you that here in a little bit, and got my stuff out. I got my box of matches. I've left them in the plastic on purpose just to make sure that dampness couldn't get in there, because this is my only means of starting a fire. So we want to make sure that we keep that safe, of course. And then what I did, I got some shag bark or shell bark hickory, laid it down here and made a nice platform. And then one nice thing about using things from the store is you have packaging and you have all sorts of things. Of course, I had some duct tape, and what I have here, I'll give you a close-up on it. This is just a bit of duct tape with some of that jute twine that was scraps and bits and pieces from when I was working on my earlier projects. And so I just wrapped them around the duct tape, and we're going to light that. And then I've got a bunch of other small twigs, of course. That's going to be the beginning of our fire. Alright, let's see if we can get it going now. Well, they work, that's for sure. course, we got a whole bunch of cardboard here that we can use. We've got some duct tape, what's left from the package. And of course, anybody that's done any kind of fire starting knows that duct tape is an excellent fire starter. Alright. Some of this other paper here. Position it kind of around here, help catch things on fire. Alright, then our very small twigs. So we got the fire going pretty well, and just letting it build strength and get a good bed of coals going. And then once that burns down a little bit, of course we're going to keep adding wood to it till we get a really nice thick bed of coals. I don't mean just a little bit. Then we'll put our water on it and begin to prepare something to drink and something to eat. So while the fire merrily burns and warms me up, it's starting to get cold, you can feel the temperature drop. I have one more task. I have to carve a pair of chopsticks because I have no eating utensils. Alright, we've got our pair of chopsticks carved out here, and got my little headlamp clip-on light here, you can see, and works pretty good. I'm not sure if I like it down there or up here yet. Kind of like it up on the top maybe, but anyway, that's what it looks like. It's not too bad. It's got button batteries in it, and I think it'll at least do for looking at a few things, my gloves, and kind of see in the dark. So, all right, well, time to get the water on to boil. All right, there we go. Find us a nice level spot. See what happens. All right, our water is at a rolling boil, and I got almost too much fire around it, but you can see there it's come along quite nice, well purified, ready for us to put some soup in, get something to drink. Oh, we got to put our gloves on here. Try to get it out there without melting anything or burning something. We don't have anything to actually get it out of the fire, so we're just going to count on our gloves and speed. Gonna make a spot here. All right, very well. And nothing melted on the gloves. A little bit of burn, nothing bad. All right, we'll let that sit there and cool down. And while it's cooling down, we'll go ahead and put our noodles in there. A little bit of powder. Dump them all in there. Alright. That's some good looking stuff. Boy, it smells delicious. We'll go ahead and do 2 packs just for kicks. But we won't put all of the packet in with the flavoring, just a little bit, because I don't want all that salt. Little of the flavor, not all the salt. Ah, that's good enough. handy dandy chopsticks here and kind of stir it around. Oh yeah. Well, that fire is hot. All right, ready to eat. Looking good. Smells delicious. Let's try our first bite here. It's really good. I think we'll just sit here by the fire for a while, eat our supper, and just enjoy it. Beautiful sounds of the creek behind me, warmth of the fire, good food. Alright, so just laying here, got my wool socks drying out by the fire. Bad thing about wearing rubber boots, they tend to get a little damp, and of course you don't want to get them too close to the fire. A lot of people make that mistake and end up burning their socks. I only have one pair, so I can't afford to burn these, and I don't want wet feet tonight. So I'm just letting my feet air dry out, and got a pot of water on by the fire here. Went down to the creek, got another pan of water, just relaxing for the night. And it's about a little after 8 o'clock. So I don't know if we'll do anything else tonight. Pretty much just sit here, feed the fire, and go to sleep after a little bit. By the way, these mattresses that I made with that grass, they're about, I don't know, about that thick, 3 or 4 inches, and actually quite comfortable, keeping me off the wet ground and nice and warm. So, very good choice for a mattress at sedge grass. The kind of fire that we are using tonight is called the long fire, and of course it's called that because it's long. In my boots, I'm here in my little shelter, but yeah, so you just stack logs basically on top of each other so you get a good fire going, and works pretty good. That's almost 9 o'clock, so it's about time to turn in. Well, it's almost 2:45 a.m. and just laying here trying to get some sleep. And I got out and put some more wood on the fire. You get an idea what the fire looks like. Sleeping pretty good for the most part, fitfully off and on. That's how it is in survival though. Talk to you when it gets light. Good morning. It's almost 7:30. Here on the next morning, we've got our fire blazing up, and feels real good. There's frost on everything. Got pretty chilly last night, and I stayed fairly warm, waking up time to time, feeding the fire, and of course that's just how it is in a survival situation. So we're going to clean this up. We still have about not quite 3 hours to go to wrap up the 24 hours, and we'll talk to you then. Well, it's time. I've proven that you can survive for 24 hours using only 10 items from the dollar store, even in sub-freezing temperatures. It was 26 degrees Fahrenheit, minus 3 degrees Celsius. I appreciate you coming along with me on this video. This is James Bender for Waypoint Survival. Please like, share, and subscribe, and make sure and press that bell button to stay notified of all of our upcoming videos, and we'll talk to you next time.